Hello and welcome to the Big Wit Podcast, a show that brings you conversations that inspire you, involve you, and impact you. Today, we're going to talk about toxicology, guys. Now, this topic is going to be a serious one. I've been waiting for this episode. You might ask why toxicology? Toxicology tells us about our ignorance that we bear with our actions in our environment on this planet. How we are disrupting that life cycle, be it air pollution, be it water pollution, be it land pollution. Guys, these are the things that have impact on our lives. It's changing us. It's changing our DNA. It's changing us genetically. I'm bringing Dr. Mandeep Arora today on this show to talk about these things. And I want you all to come and join me. Buckle up your seats because this one is going to be heavy.
Hello guys, I'm your host Dipanshu Sharma, and today we have a very special guest with us. I want to ask you, and I want my viewers to know, because I'm curious myself, how did a young Mandeep Arora started his way towards toxicology? How did you develop an interest towards this field? Because when you think about it, it's a very unique field. And with that, once you answer that, also tell us what is that one thing, or if there are many things, that still make you have faith in the human race with changing this way around, so that हम लोग actually इस चीज को change कर सकते हैं. We can do something with impact, and we can have a healthy living on this planet with actually doing good.
Right, very well said. As you know, each and every chemical they have a dual property,
Right.
in terms of a drug, because we very simply we say that I am taking a drug. Right, drug is meant to give you a benefit for your ailments or any disease. It may be a preventive one, it may be a therapeutic one, or it may be a diagnostic one. But you will see at the scenario that each and every drug which is going to give us benefit is basically a poison. So how we can say them as a drug or a poison? Because the concentration or a dose govern as a drug or as a poison.
Right.
So if we look at the ancient time, so toxicology was referred as science of poisons.
Okay.
You know, poison being a substance that at a given dose, like I have said you, that it depends upon the dose. For example, I am taking a paracetamol. It may be acting as an antipyretic. I am getting relief from my fever. But if the same drug I am taking at a higher dose, or for example 4 dose, or accidentally or intentionally I have taken 4 dose, so what will happen? It will cause toxicity, everybody knows.
Yeah.
So in other words, every drug is a poison, or we can say any chemical is a poison that may be taken, administered by accident or by intention to the living organisms. But the scenario has changed. Now today toxicology, it is defined as a study of adverse effects resulting from the interaction of chemical or physical agent with the living organisms. So now it is having a multidisciplinary science. It become a part of multidisciplinary science, which has grown and expanded by borrowing the data from the several different areas. If we talk about the several different areas, it is not like that. It is from the medical background, it is from the medicines related or epidemiology related or anything. But even the scientific or engineering background is involved in the toxicology.
Right.
That are the things, because until unless in medical field or as a healthcare professional, what we have to look at, why we have giving a stress on all those things, because somewhere it is a very common saying, prevention is better than cure. Until unless we are not knowing about the toxic effect or toxicology, we will not be able to go through those aspects, right? So it is comprising the knowledge and method from the basic science such as medicine, epidemiology, pharmacy or engineering that make it a toxicology. So you know, toxicology is a broad term now. It is a science basically. So if you'll say what the toxicologist, like you have said that why I have chosen this one. So now I'm coming to that part, like because toxicologists are now involved in the development of standards, regulations to protect the environment.
Right.
So, as an individual, not as a healthcare professional, it's my moral duty to protect the environment so that I can ensure the safeguard of all the citizens. I can protect the human health from the deleterious effect of these chemical or these toxicants.
Right.
If we talk about all those aspects, so it is, it is having its own importance, it's having its own role in the betterment of health of a nation.
In the totality of ecological system, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Because not only the human beings are affected.
We were talking about how toxicology and how it came about from the ancient times. It was known as the science or the art of poisons. For the viewer to better understand that, I think what we're trying to say here is our body, it operates on a specific scale of pH levels, and these drugs, they can act as a poison or medicine depending on that pH scale that they align. If I'm correct, sir, if I'm getting it right.
Yeah, there are so many factors, not only one factor, but there are so many factors. Yes.
Right.
So
and Mr. Arora was just talking about that and going into the specifics of it. So back to you, sir.
So I'll say that yes, again I'll repeat that one, or in another words, the modern toxicology goes beyond the investigation of adverse effect by the use of those toxic agents. It has now coming toward the molecular biology. If we are going at a molecular biology studies to explore the event occurring at the molecular level or genetic level,
very micro level,
you can see it is opening a new vista in the management of diseases. Because sometimes we can say that yes, short term or a long term effect. Short term effect may be observed, may be manageable, but long term genetic level changes. For example, I can quote an example of this one, like Bhopal gas plant. At Bhopal gas treasury, right? What was happening over there? It is going to generation.
Right.
So this is basically a toxicology, which are identifying.
It's changing your DNA over time.
So that's why we are saying that toxicology studies, what we are doing over there, we are detecting, identifying, quantifying, and assuring that yes, by identifying or detecting these hazards, we are ensuring that yes, exposure to chemical are having a long-term effect. That's why we are performing these kind of toxicologies.
I think it's very scary because in the moment, we are so used to in this fast-paced life to have the result, to have the effect, to know the cause. But toxicology in itself is telling us that I am not going to tell you what's happening in the moment. You'll see over time, in a decade or 5 years or 15 years from now, the exposure that you are in, and we don't notice it in the moment. But how toxic it becomes over time is really something that we all need to be aware and take action for. Because okay, we have lived a certain life, for let's say 30 years, you for a certain amount of time, but the next generation that is about to come and about to enter in this world, we have to provide, and it is upon us to provide a better environment for them. I just wonder.
You can see the examples of chronic disorder like cancers.
Right. I was just going to come to it, sir, that being exposed to such exposures, we think we call, like, there is a discrimination in at a very basic level. I'm just going to use an example for schools. There are students that are very good, there are students that are average, and there are students that they don't do so good. There could be many various reasons, because of their interest, because of their because of their interest levels, because of how they perceive or they understand things. But I just wanted to ask, I guess what I'm trying to say is that because of this exposure, what do you think is a long-term effect on a brain that is still in the development phase?
See, right. Because we know any toxicant, they are basically having a mechanism to produce the toxicity.
Right.
So if we look at your question, that how these are affecting the child or its behavior or its performance, because the toxicant generate the free radicals, right? And these free radicals are harmful for their cell growth or overall growth of neurons.
Right.
So this is one reason. by enhancing the free radical generation, they are affecting all our neuronal system. So that is resulting into these points that you are asking. So we have to take care of short term, long term, or at a even genetic level. As I told you, like nowadays we are working on the molecular biology, because until unless we are managing the things with this current scenario, current drug level, it is going to be only managed. But if we want to eliminate or eradicate all those things, we have to work on the basic roots of the causes of toxicity.
You have
that
to come
would be
to
a
the
better
cause.
Approach.
You have to come to the cause to minimize the effect. Right.
Because we have to identify the underlying mechanism, pathogenic mechanism. Only then we will be able to come to a conclusion, or we will be able to, now we will not only manage, even we will be able to eradicate those things.
Sir, with the current state of, I think I'm going to dive into this later on, because I don't want to give out everything right now. To move forward, for our viewers to know better, I just wanted you to explain a little bit more on, I think you already did, but just shine a little bit more light on the fact that how the knowledge of this field for an average person who is not as specifically into it as you are, how would that knowledge help a regular person? How would knowledge of toxicology or being aware of certain things that might have a big effect in the future over time, how might that help us as a society, this planet, the environment that we live in, and that person itself? Because water, for example, is usually polluted in our country, or not only in our country. Like if you see Peru in the world, you see South Africa, there's an extreme situation there. So how can those things or those knowledges they can affect that, they can better it?
Right. Because we see you see, like, first of all, I will touch a word, or I will use a word, environmental toxicology. Because environmental toxicology, if I am taking one part of toxicology, because you are talking about how the people will be knowing about this one, how they will be useful with this our talk. So I'll touch a topic, environmental toxicology. Basically, we know if our environment is polluted in terms of air pollution, in terms of water pollution, in terms of soil pollution. So we have two kinds of pollutants, or we have two kinds of things, toxicants.
Right.
One biological, another one is chemical.
Right.
Biological means like some biological wastes are there that is coming into the soil through water or like that, and they are affecting overall crops or other vegetables or like this one.
One example would be untreated sewage.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
If we are talking about this one, I'll come to that sewage part also, how it is affecting the water system or all the things.
We'll cover that later on in the
exactly.
Yeah.
So if we are knowing that what kind of toxicants or pollutants are affecting our health, like we can launch some awareness program that whatever the water you are drinking, it has some parameters, right? Because there are some permissible limits of some metals or some like other solute particles over there, or biological contaminants are there. So if the person or public is aware with all those things, because one can see that yes, my vegetable or my food is very much fresh, seems to be very fresh, seems to be very good,
but you don't know the source.
What are the other contents, those are present in your food, they are going to affect you. So one should work on with the objective that yes, our common public should know that small things or the traces of the poisons are going to make us sick.
Right.
Yeah, they are harmful for us.
It brings me to similar point where it does not matter how much money you have, what kind of fancy home you live in, what locality you live in, because if you're in a specific area or a district or a state and the water bodies there are polluted, then it doesn't matter if you're rich, if you're poor, if you're a kid, if you're a grown up, if you're an older person, you are gonna eat that food, and at the end of the day you are gonna infect yourselves with it, be it whatever metals there are in the water, and it's going to lead to genetic change, which is not for the good. I think that is why this is one of the things that I get scared of when I think about it, is like Indian brains might be leading to autism in the future if we keep continuing like that. Because we are known as a nation for the smartest brains. And it used to happen because we used to have clean water bodies, better eating patterns, good food. But all of that is changing as we are growing our infrastructure or as we're growing with our lifestyle. But we're not focusing on the root cause, which was the cleaner source. We're polluting it.
Exactly. For example, I am a very rich person. I can afford a high quality food. But who is giving the parameters that it is a high quality food? Okay,
Right.
bagged food, you can get a label over there. You can have some certification from some agencies, authorities. But what about the common vegetables that you are purchasing from the local market?
Right.
Because they are also grown up in the same area. If the water level, ground level water is polluted, having a pollution means those toxicants, obviously the traces will come in your food.
Yeah.
So irrespective of the, we can say the financial level or like your economical status,
Socio-economical status.
yeah, any kind of status, you are going to expose yourself over there.
This is unavoidable. There is no
So it
filter
is a
that
duty
you
of
can.
each and every individual that we have to address all those issues, and we have to have some basic background or some basic awareness programs to make public aware that how these chemicals are going to harm you. Right? And if
Right.
you are talking about the domestic sewage, basically it's a basic primary source of pathogens. Pathogens means disease causing or microorganisms. So these are excreted in feces. For example, I have defecated over there as my stool. So all the sewage from these cities will come into the nearby, no, not in the groundwater, or for example, it is coming into some canals or some local rivers,
Some drainage,
like
something.
drainage system over there. So what is happening? We are considering them as a perishable, means it will be degraded by own, right? Means
Right.
it will be coming of organic matter. But this organic matter present in sort of a microorganism over there. So what will happen? As these organic are decomposed naturally, what will happen? It will be decomposed by the sewage, in the sewage by bacteria only, and other microorganism, they will decrease the content of oxygen level. See, again I am repeating, these bacteria and other microorganisms means the dissolved oxygen content of water is depleted by this. So now you can say that yes, we have the sewage treatment plants or like that, all those things we are having. But again, that the quality of water, we are having a depletion with the, or having a scarcity of oxygen level over there.
But what about, because I've read some examples that some drainages have had quite an impact of change with the help of artificial oxygen that they plant in the water bodies.
Yes.
But is it sustainable? Because you can change it over the course of time, 6 months, 1 year. It can happen, but once you stop supplying that oxygen, is there going to be organic oxygen available in the water bodies, which is the source of the life?
Yeah.
The fish
I
people eat.
do agree with you. Yes, there are some sewage plants which are doing with a high efficacious rate, right? But do you think in some developing countries, especially in developing country like if we talk about the India,
In India.
do you think everywhere these plants are working over there? I would say no.
Right.
Again a challenge. So it's a better that if we can prevent all those things. So yes, these are the efforts to make water again reusable, right? But it's not a complete source.
Right.
So we have to see that.
How can we make sure a better functioning? Well, I should use another phrase. How should we better monitor the functioning of these plants, where we are providing or we're injecting some artificial oxygen into them to provide a better environment in the water for aquatic life, or for a better secondary use water source? Like it can be just used to take bath, if not drinking. It could be used to wash clothes. It could be used for irrigation purposes.
Testing or like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What according to you, or what do you think is an appropriate approach to have a better monitoring system of those kind of systems?
Yeah, basically every system has its own monitoring system. Every functioning has its monitoring system.
An inbuilt system.
Yeah, they have already having. But yes, as a toxicologist, what I was saying during the definition of toxicology or like the toxicology studies or toxicologist, what they are doing, what they are developing the standards and regulations. Again, it's coming to my own field that yes, toxicologists should raise their that level of standards, and the normal public must be aware with those standards, so that transparent system should be there. That yes, it is as per the protocol, as per the standards, as per the norms. So one thing we have to ensure, we have to make a regulation, we have to make a policy that yes, we have to develop a transparent system so that every time it is accessible to even a normal person, because it's a matter of health, so every person has the right to maintain their health and ability.
I totally agree, because we see a lot, especially in the NCR area, people throwing pollutants in Yamuna, and we've all seen the state of Yamuna at the moment, what it is, so much industrial pollutants that are in there. I think we do need better regulations, and more than that, we need more accountability. And if there is no accountability, then there has to be necessary law and order action or fine in places for that. Which I'm sure there is, but again, how is it regulated? How transparent that system is, which you already mentioned? That's the question that we have. And how can we make a crack into that is through having these conversations, I think, at the end of the day. I hope someone watches this video, they listen to what we're talking about, and this is a matter of concern, guys. This is not entertainment here. This is something that we as a generation, our future generations are going to thank us for. Because right now, this is ground zero that we are at. This is war. So I just hope that this strikes to people with the gravity that we are bringing to this. But moving along, I'm not going to make it too serious.
It's very true. I do agree with you. Like there must be some rewards and punishment for those, because until unless it's rewards and punishments will be not there, we cannot run any organization. We cannot run any system.
Yeah, that is totally true. I couldn't have said it better than what you just said, sir. Since we are talking about water pollution, what is the issue that we are addressing with arsenic poisoning and arsenic poisoning levels in Hindon River? What impact does high levels of arsenic and other chemicals and metals have on our body?
Right. I'll say, okay, I'll give you an answer about the arsenic, but just to add some more things, because we have some toxic metals, basically from urban area, industry or mining, right? So arsenic is one, mercury, lead or other things are also present over there.
Right.
So if I talk about arsenic, basically arsenic is an element that is found in the nature, and it is basically used in the manufacturing of pesticides, right? So how for you crops. Can correlate?
For crops and everything. Okay.
So if we look at the level of arsenic, or we talk about the arsenic, about its toxicity. So according to the American Food and Drug Organization, long-term exposure, FDA. even at a low dose or higher dose, okay, higher dose is one thing, even at a low dose is associated with some diseases. For example, cancer, blood cancer, skin cancer, lung cancer, not only cancer, but related to the heart disease, right? If I am coming toward how the arsenic is producing the toxicity, what is its level, we will discuss about that also. So acute arsenic toxicity may be associated with the hepatic necrosis. Okay, I'll simplify the word hepatic necrosis. Reason being, whenever we arsenic as a toxicant, it is coming toward the liver, it is basically a metabolizing work, right?
Right.
So this chronic high level arsenic exposure with the hepatic angiosarcoma means within the liver, it causes a cancer over there.
So basically,
And
it's damaging your liver that you're not even aware of.
yes. So we can say, because until unless we are not doing the methylation, because there is some like metabolism
Purification
of
methods.
purification or detoxification of arsenic is in such a way that we need a methylation, right? So if some methyl donor group like such as folate, we name it as a folate, right? So if we are not, or we are deprived of those things, we are not having the folic acid, so definitely the toxicant effect of this arsenic will be higher, right? So that's why, because it is damaging the DNA or damaging the other things, so in this way it is producing the toxicity. So like if we talk about the what kind of toxicity it can produce cancer, heart disease, skin disease, multiple disorders are there. Even if we are talking about one word, heart disease, so they are related to
I think
blood vessels, heart, means it's a line.
Right. I think people watching, they can relate, because everyone these days, especially in India in the northern parts, they're having some sort of issue with their health. They see white cavities on their nails, their skin is pale, either they feel entire tiredness at the end of the day. While they work, they feel tired. They don't feel so good about their meals when they eat. I think those are also the signs, like swollen legs or hands or feet. These are all signs of acute poisoning in a way, which, for example, diabetes, I've known in the last 2 decades, has been on a 200% high rate than it ever was. And I just wonder if acute poisoning has a major role to play in those things too.